FORA.tv. The world is thinking.
Basically, Putin, in his conduct of domestic policy in Russia, had as his primary objective the restoration of a strong centralized state. In this, he relied excessively on the KGB, success organization, the FSB, and the army and the police, the so-called siloviki in Russian parlance. For him, the major task was to demolish Yeltsin's anarchy, to muddle through this incredible chaos and suffering and the lack of governance in the Russian Federation in 2000. And in order to achieve this, he indeed relied excessively on these paramilitary and military tactics. As a result, sometimes, actually quite often, he would turn a blind eye to the transgressions of these bureaucrats in uniform or in civis. For him, the main enemy, again, were the oligarchs and the regional governors, rebels in Chechnya. He had to deal with them. Medvedev is in a slightly different position. The Chechen emergency is over. The oligarchs are nowhere to be seen. The regional governors are tamed. So he can afford to be a bit more relaxed in his approaches to the conduct of domestic policy. Thus, if we look at Medvedev's statements, probably the best known of them all is his dictum that freedom is better than unfreedom, which many took last year as a sign that he is going to liberalize the Russian political system, he is going to usher in American-style democracy. Again, it's quite myopic, it's not what he really meant. What he meant is that he personally recognizes the universal nature of democracy, that there can be only one democracy. There is no difference in principle between the West and Russia, which was a deviation from Putin's suggestion of sovereign democracy, where Putin said there can be Western democracy, but there can be Russian democracy, and they do not intersect. They're two very different things. It doesn't really mean that Medvedev now is inclined to build up Western-style democracy. It's just a different way to polemicize with the West. Basically, Putin said, we do not want your democracy because we have our very own special culture and tradition, and Russia is a civilization unto its own. That's why please desist from criticizing our authoritarian tendencies. It's the cultural heritage of Russia, and who are you to tell us that you are better? Medvedev changed this discussion quite subtly. He said, okay, we agree that there can be only one democracy, but we're not going to be in any rush to accept Western models of democracy because whatever exists in the West cannot be qualified as democracy. Because look at all these fat cats and transnational corporations and at all these corporate executives who bend the rules. Does the West have real democracy? The answer is no. So we're not going to build Western-style democracy because it's not a real democracy, says President Medvedev. Beautiful, philosophical. Is there a hope that Russia is going to embrace Western liberal democracy anytime soon? Not at all. Difference in style, difference in philosophical attitude, the substance is not going to change. The Russian political system is not going to undergo liberal revolution.